Okay, we're gonna.
Okay.
That re-erase everything. Re-erase. Is that even a word?
No.
Can you re-erase anything?
No. You can
As a teacher, I think you should.
No, you cannot re-erase.
Re-erase to erase again.
No, because to erase means there's something there, and then you can erase that.
Okay.
But you can't re-erase it because it's already gone.
When I delete something, it's then in the bin, and I have to delete it again. So that's a re-erase.
No.
Because I didn't permanently delete it.
No. But when you erase something, going back to the original word erase, to wipe out, if it's wiped out, you can't wipe it out again.
But what if you trace something and erase the trace?
Can we just start? Chris.
Nick.
Chris.
That's me.
Hey, Chris.
What?
How are you going to outrun the end of the world?
I won't. I'll just embrace it like Skynet and anything that's more powerful than me. I'm all about giving in. Just ask Joy.
So you would just walk up to Babcock and say, hey, go ahead, take a bite.
On the very first episode. Yes.
No. And then that would be it.
Exactly. The show would be over. We need you to become a vampire. Who's asking? Babcock. Right here. That's the sweet spot. That's where the honey is.
Yeah. Here, let me give you a straw.
Vinegar, honey. Be gentle or not. I don't know.
Because you're into that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's not what George said.
But what we're gonna do is we're recapping. If you haven't figured it out by now. We're recapping The Passage. I always want to say The Passengers.
No, it's The Passage.
5? Episode 6? Is this episode? It's episode 5, right?
Episode 5.
How are you going to outrun the end of the world?
Yes.
I don't know why I felt like we were further along. You know why? Because we're doing character development.
Right. And it took this long to get to where we are now, and people are so having fits and convulsions about... That's not in the book. That's not in the book.
And that's why I brought you along.
Oh, okay.
If you don't know, my friend Nikki here is a reader of both the book and a consumer of the show.
Right. I read the whole book in about 3 days.
And how is that for you? How's that working out, that reading thing? Yeah, I'm never been a fan.
3 degrees in, it's working well.
Okay. How many books are there?
There are 3.
Okay.
So I've just read the first one. I'm going to read the second one probably during spring break.
Okay.
And then I'll be reading the third one. But if you've read the book, you hear people say, don't watch the show if you've read the book. They are similar, but they're not exactly the same. And that's the thing that I love the most.
Okay.
Because you see the characters, but they're not exactly the same as the book, so you get to kind of enjoy them all over.
You get to introduce yourself to a whole new version. Like think of it like a different timeline or something, an alternative reality or something.
Kind of.
I'm such a purist on one format. That's how I feel.
Because Babcock in the book is male, and
which you wouldn't be allowed to bite me then.
That would not have worked for this series,
right.
And then the other series. I'm so sorry. That never should have happened to you. That other episode, that was actually giving flesh to the backstory of Babcock, which is great, but none of that appeared in the book.
Right.
So we would have missed out on all of that.
That never should have happened to you. The situation where you find out what she was going through with her mother and her and the boyfriend. Were they married? Was that her stepfather, or was that just a boyfriend kind of a situation?
I think that was a boyfriend situation.
He was a dick. I mean, that he just stole the money. I could so see it coming when you pan the camera over to the little hiding spot and the money, and then you get into it with that dude, and then you put the money away. I'm like, I could call it right there. He's gonna find it. Yeah, that's exactly what's gonna happen.
Absolutely. And then this situation never happened in the book because, like I said, it was male, and the whole dream that Babcock kept having everyone have had to do with his mother.
Right.
A rotund lady that was sitting in the kitchen who was very
like verbally abusive, I guess.
Verbally abusive, right. So that was the interesting thing. But One thing that I have been questioning myself by watching this is the character of Anthony. So Anthony in the show is not the bad guy. Someone did die, but we find out that it wasn't by his hand.
Right.
Although he felt guilty and he took the blame for it. But it makes you wonder, if you are a bad person to begin with and then you get bitten, do you automatically turn into this horrific creature? Or could you be like Anthony, sort of a benign vampire, if there's such a thing?
Because the only reason why he embraced the dark side, I guess, was for survival purposes. He just did not want to die.
Right, which brings you to the episode of Whose Blood Is This?
Right.
Right, so
yeah, and that's the easiest way to convince anybody. I mean, a fight or flight, situation.
Right,
so
right.
I mean, I even me, I'm sorry to admit it. If I had the choice between being a vampire and just instantly dying, I would probably, let's just see what happens with this whole vampire thing.
let me try this. Let me try this on. See how it
I want to
fits.
create a safe space and be one of the good ones. I'm going to be woke.
I will just feed on the bad guys.
I'm gonna be the Dexter of vampires.
There you go.
That's whatever I have to do to tell myself to get to the next day, and then I would probably be doing all the evil stuff that I said I wasn't
Well,
gonna
it
do.
doesn't taste so bad.
Yeah, exactly.
There's kind of irony,
Exactly.
but it doesn't taste so bad.
I could have gone somewhere else with that joke, but I won't. Maybe later. But it was
Anyway.
So I understood why. I understood him. I understood Babcock, and I even understand the doctor. Was it Dr. Tim?
Right.
Fanning. You know why he's doing it. He's just straight up like learned that he's all about getting the woman that he loves.
Right, Dr. Lear's wife.
So his motives are purely selfish and purely evil.
And see, none of that was in the book.
But you don't give Babcock a pass.
No.
You think she's just straight up evil.
Yes.
I've said before on this my last recap of this on the first episode, I feel like she's about to become the big bad. Like she's biding her time but we said before we started recording that, well, I said that I feel like she's one of those characters where whatever the circumstances is where she'll go. If she's treated like crap, and like I'm thinking about a whole bunch of other references. Like if she's treated like a gangster, treated like a thug, she's gonna act like a thug or a gangster or whatever. So that's a whole other topic, I guess. But that's how I think that's how she is. So I'm like, does that make her a bad person? And then I'm like, well, I guess it kind of does.
It kind of does. She's a weak character. She's of weak moral fiber to begin with.
But she's a survivor.
She is a survivor, but at the cost of other people. She survived that situation at home at the cost of the pedophile's life and her mother's life, which arguably
nobody's really showing that. Two kids, a bucket. Where's that bucket at? Exactly. Nobody's really worried about them.
Right.
But I mean,
it was enough to get her the needle.
She had like you said, she had an opportunity to call the cops. She had an opportunity, even if nothing would have happened, she would have exposed them at least, and they would have had to have answered those questions.
Sometimes when really, really horrible things happen, you just have to walk away, and that's the teacher in me talking. You just have to walk away.
But that's the difference between murder and premeditated murder and like manslaughter or homicide. How would she be getting what state were they in for her to get the needle?
Probably Texas.
After her explanation of why she did it, that's not premeditated. That's, she snapped.
The Innocence Project would have definitely taken her on, except that she wasn't that innocent. It says that she stole stuff. She
probably had a crap lawyer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't think I can see her getting the needle. That's probably where the difference between the book and the show is coming from. You said that originally this is not a woman.
Right.
That's why in the book she gets the needle. But for her being a blonde woman on the TV show, my brain cannot process her getting the needle.
Absolutely. I didn't
just blow your mind on that?
I didn't really think about that.
I know a lot about a little and a little about a lot of things. That's one of my catchphrases. Every now and then I'm due for a moment. So
yes, that was it.
Visually, I can't see someone that adorable getting the needle. I'm sorry. Am I biased?
Yes, definitely. But since it set it up, they spent shush. They spent 4 episodes setting it all up,
And it worked.
then and then in the 5th episode, you actually get that teaser scene where
that we've been waiting for.
The scream. Amy screams.
What did I say? I wouldn't have called this "How You Gonna Outrun It in the World." It's that. What did I say? Black girl finally screams.
Black girl finally screams.
That's the episode that we just got. I'm like, finally! Oh man.
But it was something that everyone was waiting for, and their slow lead up to that makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. She didn't scream before. She didn't have the powers before. They had to mature in her. Right. And then, of course, she got visited by Babcock saying, just give in to the dark side.
And she's like,
no.
So that's what everybody's wondering. Is it going to be another Anthony situation? Or is it because of her age? Is she more powerful to be able to resist it? Is it... Now, so if you can resist it and you're given this power at an early age, will you still grow as a normal human being?
See,
there's all these questions
that's addressed in the book.
Okay.
Because
it seems like everybody that's dead, that's it. They can resist all these diseases, but it doesn't seem like they're getting older, mature, or anything.
Right.
Like that.
No, the whole thing. And that's another thing that you could not have made that book into a series because you had all this action, and then a humongous time jump.
Right.
And that would not work. Now, that time jump can happen in season 3, but, that makes sense.
She's going to get taller and older in real life, so they're going to have to explain that that she can age, I guess, because they're gonna have to. She's not gonna be the same.
In real life. It's going to happen in real life, and they'll probably, when they do the time jump, if the show
I don't think they're gonna do the
survives.
time jump.
But you have to. That's part of the story.
You got to take liberties for whatever works for the show, though. It might work for the book, but if she is a part of what makes this a successful series, recasting her might be a bad thing, unless we're talking about a significant time jump. If they
do you want spoilers?
No. Okay. If they just, but it gives you an idea. So if it's a significant time jump, then it would mean that they would have to recast her.
It's so significant
which is 2 ways I think to address it.
Yeah.
One, she doesn't age, or she ages very slowly, or 2, they recast her.
She ages very slowly.
There you go. See? It's all working up here, man. I know this show. I don't need this book.
Slap that hat off your head. But they absolutely, positively do need to spend the rest of this season exploring what's going to happen. Because there's so many facets of this whole vampiric disease that you need to know before you get to the time jump.
Okay.
So they need to spend this season explaining that, and then probably next season also.
Right.
Getting into that, and then you get to do the time jump.
So it's that significant. So in your opinion, you think they're going to need another season, but even before we get to this time jump?
I would say so.
To unpack all this
all this stuff, because after the time jump, it's all told as memory. So you don't want to have this time jump and recast and all these other things, and then you go back and do all this memory work.
So I'm assuming this time jump must be the probably what I would always call, before an apocalyptic situation, the before time, and this time jump would probably be after the worst case scenario, probably.
After shit hits the fan?
Yeah, exactly. So I can only assume.
Yes.
So we're living in the before time right now,
Yes.
where we see all the times where we could have prevented it.
Yeah, something could have happened to make things different.
If Dr. Major, what's her name? What's her name? The played by, what's her name? Carolyn. I'm squinting now because I'm not wearing my glasses.
Yes, no, but
is it Dr. Major? I'm just gonna say Dr.
The Dr. Major. Yeah. So she.
All the things she could have done to prevent it.
Right. Oh, let's go back to Richards.
Okay.
The security chief. The fact that he didn't fry Babcock, that really hacked me off, because
like I said,
she needed to be fried. She had taken a life. They should have fried her, and then she actually manipulated him into not doing it, and then lied about it to his boo thing. And no, we don't do that. The doctor.
Because the more you give into it, the more you enslave yourself to their powers. Because I would think if it was any other prisoner, he probably. I mean, there's situations where cops go too far, or with inmates and stuff, and they just don't want to get themselves in trouble.
Right.
But
that was justified.
But if a prisoner is like able to find themselves in your dreams, I'm sorry, I'm gonna tell somebody. Like, I don't know how this guy's doing this, but it's weird. I'm having these weird dreams.
Right. And he didn't do it. He didn't tell.
Well, you don't want to be called crazy. You don't.
But everyone knows that everyone else is having dreams.
Right.
They all mention it.
They all mention it.
Just like let's not call them vampires.
Let's not call them vampires.
They're vampires.
They suck blood. They fly in the sunlight. What do you want to call them? We want to call them daylight challenged. We want them to feel safe. Vampire is that's their word. We're not allowed to use it.
We're not allowed to use that word. No, it's just.
I guess
it's just racially charged.
Yeah, it's just so much history ever since Dracula. 2000, that movie was so bad we don't use that word anymore.
Yeah, so I like the show. I like where it's going. Mm-hmm. Between the first episode and the second episode, you were like, oh, there's a lot going on. They could speed this up just a little bit, but it was very necessary. And then also in How You Gonna Outrun the End of the World, you find out about Sister Lacey,
right?
Which she's a huge portion of the book.
Sister Lacey.
Yes, that's when they go to his friend's house. When they go to the agent's friend's house. Yeah,
the woman that trained him and
right. Well, she used to be a nun. Oh. So that really plays. I'm
Nuns
excited.
with guns. I like that.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for the next episode to see if we get some more information about that, because it was a really big thing. And her whole backstory in the book was amazing, mm-hmm. To make her the way she is. So
unpacking that is going to be coming up too. So yeah, I was glad that she didn't die.
Right.
So I was very glad. Now that you said that much, now I can see why, because it sounds like she has a very interesting history that I'm definitely going to want to tune into.
And she's very important to Amy. I mean, Amy couldn't really make it in the book without her.
Well, she's got like this mama vibe to her that I think Amy needs. That I don't think Dr. Leela is going to be able to fulfill.
No, that witch needs to go. I will be glad when someone sucks her dry.
I like her. I mean, but I'm biased though, because I used to watch Entourage, and I just like her as an actress. So anytime I'm seeing her work, I'm happy.
Because I don't want her not to work, but I hate the character.
Just hate the character. I like the character. I mean, when Zach Morris passed out and Slater couldn't come save the day, they called her. Even over the phone, she knew what to do. She's good. I like her. She's playing her role. And she's making the story move along.
Oh, you're talking about his wife.
The ex-wife. That's what I'm talking about. Oh my
gosh, I thought you were talking about.
Bad cop.
Dr. Major.
Dr. Major. Oh no, she got to go. No. Yeah, she's got to go.
No.
I was talking about. I'm sorry. I was talking about that doctor. I said Dr. Kyle.
Actually, Dr. Kyle is much more likable in the
book.
In the book. I didn't like her at all. She's much more. I was like, whatever. But in the series, she's much more likable.
Right. How is Dr. Major in the book? Is she Major Payne or even more in the book? Or
tell you the truth, I don't remember, and that's saying something. That's saying something.
Were you there? I couldn't even tell. Every time I read your paragraphs, I was like, is someone talking? Because I don't hear anybody. Because these girls got to go. Right?
But I don't know so much that was a character in the book, and then see in the series they're talking about. Her justification for doing what she did to Amy was because there was this huge epidemic, that
needs to be that's going to wipe us all out if we don't figure out how to immune ourselves. Wasn't she the one who suggested getting a child? Mm-hmm. So there you go. The whole we don't use the word vampire thing. What was that other thing that I said that I didn't like? Where the where the other doctor get the blood spread on his face. He was being very practical and scientific about it. If I turn, you're not infected. No, but if and then she's being all hopeful.
Be rational.
Yeah, be rational.
Scientists don't have room to be hopeful like that.
And lovey-dovey.
You have to be very, very
that global
rational.
warming will fix itself if you believe. Just clap your hands and it'll magically fix itself. Like, no.
We're not having that conversation.
Doctors don't do that, right?
Right.
So
and
she's not a scientist.
Then you've got the whole thing with Winston and Dr. Pett.
I almost went Ghostbusters.
No. I truly wanted him to die.
The Dr. Pett,
because
is that his real name, Dr. Pett? Is that his last name, or
that's what he called him. That's what Winston called him.
Oh yeah, and
Dr. Pett. I think that was his name.
The whole illusion that what did he say? You can learn a lot about a person when you let them think that they're more powerful than you are.
Right.
So that whole drilling into the brain and reading the vampire's mind. That was all. I don't even think that machine worked a little bit.
No, it didn't.
Because the connection was him doing it.
Absolutely, it was Winston, and I kept thinking, again, science teacher in me, what's wrong with you that you're so eager to push this through? You have to have 3 trials. You have to do it more than one time. You have to go and compare those results.
We can't have 3 trials. There's commercial breaks we have to get through, Nikki.
But still, there were 11 people down there?
Right.
He could have done it on Winston. He could have done it on Fanning. He could have, no, he couldn't have done it on
mentioned that, but I felt like they would have just all tricked them anyway.
But
they would have all communicated and said, when he connects you to the machine, just go along with it.
But the thing is, you collect empirical data. So that shows how incredibly flawed this whole
the fact
complex.
That it worked perfectly 3 times?
No. The fact that, first of all, he didn't do it. The fact that he was so eager to believe that it worked. And to please his military boss. He had an opportunity to gain some traction and make a name for himself. So he automatically pushed that through. Hey, come on down. Let me show you what happened.
That to me was the most realistic part of it, because we're talking about government funding, and you know how much money this guy's gonna get, the Nobel Prize and stuff. He saw all that. He goes, "Hey, the numbers look good right now. Let's turn it into Congress because Daddy got to get paid." that was the most realistic part.
I'm sorry. The science doesn't wash, and it's ridiculous talking science about a vampire show. However, he still needed to go through those steps.
So you don't believe that after Dr. Pett worked on Winston, that then Winston would have given his data to Fanning and said, this is what the doctor's going to do if he's going to bring another vampire down there. So this is what you have to do to make his results seem like they're working.
He could have done that, but if you had actually recorded your data and you looked at your data, and then you turn around and compare the data.
But what if the comparisons show positive or good results? Because they're faking it. And these things never exist. Okay, let's say this is a real world. These things that never existed before. The data that we're trying to record is showing progress. When I do this, the vampire did that, and I wrote it down. The next vampire did the same thing, and the data still showed that's.
Well, then he wouldn't be such a wuss, would he? Then it would have been, he got tricked, instead of he was tricked.
Okay, now I get it. Now, okay, exactly. So then you would have been more forgiving with, okay, so he got tricked. I can forgive that, but at least he got tricked the right way. You still got played, but you got played in the right way.
I'm sorry, I'm just like that.
We have commercial breaks to get through, and then we wouldn't have gotten to the Scream. It would have been a whole other episode that we had to have waited. And the one thing that I was upset about this show, I almost didn't get into this show. It's probably why I didn't do a recap of the second episode, because they kept showing us that teaser of the whole vampire attack Scream thing. And it took, 5 episodes to finally get to that. But then, after episode 2 and episode 3, I started going, I don't care if that could be the very last episode of the season for all I care now. Because I'm loving this character
development. See, it was hard getting there, hurt to begin with, but once you got in the groove,
I'm on board. I really expected the episode that we just got to possibly be the season finale. I was thinking that's how long they were going to stretch that.
Oh, wow.
But maybe this is a mid-season. I don't know how many episodes they're going to be.
We've got 6 coming up next week.
22.
I would love for it to. It would be nice to get a whole load of something that you can just think on and digest instead of piecemeal. Anyway, it would be really, really nice to have a lot of stuff that you can stop and think about. And in my case, someone who's read the book,
right,
to go back and compare and everything else.
Of what they did wrong, that we controlled them.
No. I really wish those people who are just having fits and convulsions would just...
You mean the greatest people in the world? Hit the subscribe button.
Just dig in and get your panties untwisted.
Right.
And realize that this is not perfect in that it's going to follow the book. Like I told you, I only knew one book that I read that was absolutely scene for scene verbatim, and that was Lonesome Dove, and it's so old you don't even know it. So,
first time I ever heard about. No, I've heard of Lonesome Dove, just never watched it, never read the book.
That's all right. I'm a voracious reader.
I am not. I am a voracious listener. On Audible. If the book doesn't start off with "this is Audible," I'm closing it. I'm not too spoiled. I got things to do. I'm sorry.
No.
That's how I consume. I am a consumer.
That's good for you. Books are my way of just getting away. I shut everything else out. Sort of like your room here.
Yeah.
I shut everything else out
and
and
just
just
studio.
immerse myself in that world.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's how I am in the movie theater. I try to just melt away and just I'm like in the story with them along. If it's good.
Yeah.
But,
so if you haven't read the book and you do like to read, I suggest that you read the book because it will not ruin the television show for you.
So think of it like an alternative universe, a different, like same scenario, but slightly different characters, different.
Yeah. And it'll kind of give you some insight and things to look forward to.
Yeah. You can't translate everything from a book every time. Sometimes the format just doesn't work. These people, screenwriters and directors, they know. Some of them know what they're doing. They know what they're talking about.
I got all the way to page, and I even had it as a Facebook post. I got all the way to page 753 when this thing happened, and it was like, I actually had to close the book and put it down for a minute and just breathe. I was like, how dare you?
Oh.
How dare you? I didn't see that coming.
Okay.
Let me go back and read it again.
Yeah, that's not intriguing at all, making me want to ask for a spoiler, but I'm not going to do it.
I can't.
I'm not going to do it.
Because if I give you that spoiler, then I have to give you a whole bunch of other spoilers.
Which would shut us down off of YouTube, and now I just can't. I can't have that.
No. And I hope to be invited back again.
Right, I don't want all you bloggers out there. T3 Media is totally ruined the whole thing. Well, come on. You're gonna.
Yeah, don't bring that teacher chick back. What was she talking about? She didn't know. Who needs reading?
No. We're gonna definitely.
I have that kind of negativity at school. I don't need that
exactly.
here.
All right. Well, this is a safe space, okay? There's a time and a place for all that negativity, okay? And it's called the public school system, right? Like, no. I just think that I don't know. I don't want to. I'm afraid to spoil myself. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna be honest. I'm afraid I might become one of those hardcore fans that's like, that's not in the book. So I'm trying to stay away from it. And because I started with this. Honestly, if I would have started with the book, I would have probably finished with the books, and maybe have come back to the show. But I started with the show, and I usually stick to whatever I start with. So I don't blame them.
Here's the thing, and I know I'm gonna probably cause you to get some hate mail, but if you were that big or that hardcore a fan, then where's your creativity that you can't, or your imagination, that you can't have a little flex? I'm a fan, it has to be this way because it was written this way.
Right.
Well, if it's written that way, then you have absolutely no imagination to add to that or take from that scenario.
No, that's all about what this channel is about. It reminds me of remaking or rebooting something.
Right.
Just because your favorite movie got remade or rebooted, it doesn't mean that because they created the new version, that your version that you grew up with and that you love is going to erase from history. You still have that to go back to. And look, we didn't have reboots and remakes. We wouldn't have never had the Departed. That was a remake of an original story. That was I forgot what the original. I think it was still called it wasn't called The Departed. It's called something else.
God, I hope I'm not in front of her.
No, you're not. What was another good reboot? Not The Godfather. Say Hello to My Little Friend. What's that? Scarface was a reboot of another old movie, and everybody considers that the quintessential version. That's a remake.
So I bow to you because I don't know all this stuff.
Yeah. If we didn't have reboots and remakes, we wouldn't have had Scarface. So there. So suck it, trolls. That's what I always say.
Oh, okay.
I always say.
Okay, so
I'm gonna get a T-shirt that says that. Suck it, trolls. Yeah.
my shirt says science.
Or science. There. Anytime a troll starts going, well, LinkedIn, hey, science. Okay? We're calling them vampires. That's what I
Because even when it's not about science, it is.
It's always about science.
And on that note, we're done. Thank you very much.
Well,
hit the subscribe button.
And tell a troll, your fellow troll, to suck it if they don't like this. If you tell them next time a troll tells you that you shouldn't watch The Passage because the book is better, just go, hey, science. Okay, that's all you have to say, and then they'll know what we're talking.
And then they'll go,
Did
I miss something?
Is there a hashtag that I'm not aware of? What is this science that you speak of? Because it wasn't in the book. Of course it wasn't in the book.
Of course it wasn't in the book.
Listen, you know what? I'm going to start that. I'm going to start a fight between the book people and the book people. And let's rev this thing up. So overall, okay. So I already recapped the pilot, which I liked, and I liked it way much, and I love this series more than I thought I would.
I told you.
We learned a little bit. On episode 2, they were on the run for the most of it.
You owe me a unicorn.
You owe me a unicorn, and that title finally made sense when you won that thing. So it turns out that not only is Amy destined to be like all powerful, but even before being injected, she can shoot. So she's gonna be on some watch list. You gotta watch this girl. Episode 3.
Unfortunately, there won't be a watch list very soon.
Oh damn! Forgot about the timeline. the time jump. That should never have happened. We discussed a little bit about that. Whose blood was that? We talked about that. And then all right. So yeah, that was a good catch up recap. There you go. Did. So I'm all caught up. Finally. And anything else? What besides the book? Let's try to take the book out of our mind.
Okay.
What do you predict for the show is going to come up for the to the season finale? Because I'm going to give you my thoughts of how you think this season will cap up.
We'll see. I can't.
You can't disassociate?
I can't disassociate. I know that.
You know too much.
Well, no. But you also know that they're going to escape.
Yes.
You know, they've said Fanning has set it up. They're going to escape.
Yeah.
They've got a plan. So they're going to escape. Mm-hmm. Their escaping is going to make a huge disaster. What I do know is that they had Dr. Tim. Mm-hmm. He's patient 0. That I know. But you haven't seen any of the others bite. All of the people who...
like a Walking Dead scenario where you get bit and then all of a sudden you wake up and you're
a vampire.
But everybody who gets infected, even though it's with a needle, they're fine at first as long as they don't feed. So if you get bitten, and killed, I guess that makes sense what you're saying now.
Right.
We've never seen anybody get killed and turned from being bitten and whatnot. So does it work like that, I guess, is the question.
But it will. When they all get out, it will have to.
Maybe it has to be an evolution thing.
So
what have they done with all those dead bodies of the people who have been bitten?
They burned them.
That's why we haven't seen it.
No. But see, like Dr. Pat got bitten, right? Mm-hmm. But did he get?
Turn.
Is he going to turn? And that's another thing. I don't think that if you see, you're confusing two genres. I mean, 2 universes. The Walking Dead, you get bit, you die, you come back. But here, they are bitten and injected, not bitten, they're injected with serum, and then they turn.
But the serum is infected with the blood of people who have already exposed or have already vampires.
So if they bite...
Does it transfer through the teeth?
Does it transfer... Because everyone who's gotten bitten on the show so far has died. They've been bitten, like part of their neck ripped out, blood drained.
But you say all the doctors then take those bodies and burn them.
They burn the bodies.
So if that's a policy, I'm going to say yes, they do turn, because that's probably why they adopted that burning policy. Turn or burn. That's what I'm thinking.
Burn, don't turn.
Exactly. There you go. It's just coming up with t-shirts right left and right. Our new hashtag burn, don't. I'm thinking, yeah, they do turn because that's probably why they adopted that. Well, obviously they're burning them because there is a big cover up and they're not supposed to be there. They're not supposed to be there in the first place, right?
Right. Well, yeah, they're not.
And then they tell the family, like, what happened to the doctor? Such and such. Oh, he fell in an incinerator. It was a freak accident. It was the ashes. You know?
Yeah, it was a military exercise gone bad, and the soldier, because people have had their throat ripped out. They had one poor guy who was, teasing one of them and
brought through oh man, that had to have hurt. Oh my goodness, I have a big old head, so that hurt me more than it hurt him.
So, but then again, the way he was attacked, he would have definitely died.
Right.
And but he would not have turned, because if you die and you're reanimated, you're a zombie. If you're,
and that's why that first vampire looked the way it looked, right? That was in that cage when they traveled and found him. Because was he dead? Did he? Oh, well, we don't know how that guy got turned.
Yeah, no. And the thought is that there's always been vampirism.
Yeah.
And it's in nature, for real, there is vampirism.
Oh yeah, I read some, like, there's an ant.
Vampire ants, that they control.
Which is
zombie ants.
Which, watch, when the book and everything is all said and done, that's really the mastermind. They're gonna come into the cave and find out the source, and it's just gonna be some ant like, help me! I want to rule you all.
No,
it was me the whole time.
but that's the thing that they're gonna probably end up having to show, that yes, you get bitten, but if they don't kill you, you turn.
Okay. If you're just bitten, then
you turn.
But if you're bitten and die,
then you're a vampire.
Well, I know in other
zombie.
vampire lore, it's I guess it all depends on who's writing it. Because in some vampire stories, if you're bitten and you die, that dying is part of the process of coming back as a vampire. But you're right.
But none of the ones in the cages actually died.
They just were all infected.
There you go. So that's my thing, is where's this going with that?
You're right, because that explains why Fanning was
say
it
again. I'm what?
That explains why Fanning was trying to convince Anthony not to die. Like, you don't have to die. Because it was right. Because it was probably right. Because it was probably going to be permanent. If he died because he didn't feed, it was probably going to be a permanent thing.
Absolutely.
But in other vampire lore, dying is a part of the process.
Absolutely.
Because even if you refuse not to,
mind, the ones with the sparklies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that shall never be mentioned.
If you refuse not to drink blood and whatnot, then you will die, and then when you die, you'll come up 100% vampire. That your instincts will take, no matter what you want or not, doesn't matter. You'll then be an evil vampire. But that's not what Fanning was worried about. He was saying you're going to die.
Right.
So I'll say it again. You're probably 100% right. Probably. But no, I agree with it. Yeah, that makes sense of why the doctor didn't want Anthony to die.
Right. So you asked, where's it going? That's what I need to find out, is once they all escape the compound, how long does it take for this epidemic to cross the globe?
And to be transmitted by teeth and the
bite after bite after bite. Because they're going to get loose and they will probably drink their fill.
Yeah.
And then once they drink their fill, then they will probably
it'll evolve into that. What was that movie where it was a whole world of vampires and Ethan Hawke was the.
Yes, I was thinking.
That's exactly what it's gonna be. It's gonna be. This is the prequel to the Ethan Hawke movie.
I was just nailed it.
That's all.
And then Blood Bank will take on a whole new connotation.
And hey, look, if this whole world was 50% human and 50% vampires, we could work together and get along, and we could explore space easily and all that stuff. But you know what?
Ooh, vampires in space. That would be interesting.
It's been done. What was that? No, Ghost of Mars. What was that?
Oh my
horrible movie. Oh, terrible. All right, we're gonna go on a tangent on this stuff, but yeah. But no, yeah, I think your idea is correct.
It needs to end up. The season needs to wrap up showing how it spreads.
Yeah. And my theory is that Babcock will become the big bad for season 2. I think she's going to take over and be the focal big bad on and I'm not upset with that, because she can't do any wrong.
Oh yeah, right. And what kills me is, like, in the trailer, for the next episode, you know, they have this one scene where they're all in their cages and they're slowly turning up the lights, like, we're gonna fry you, we're gonna fry you. You know that's not gonna work. Right. You know that's gonna break down. Yeah. And I'm thinking, which one of these yahoos
is gonna turn it off?
Is gonna turn it off, and my money's on Gray.
You think?
Because he has been groomed for that.
Gray,
he's the
not Richards.
No, I think it's going to be Gray. Because Gray is the one who injected the doctor's wife, Dr. Lear, his wife.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, where the hell has he been? Was he even in last episode? He only had like one little scene.
He had one little scene.
He's been in since episode 1, being groomed and whatnot. I'm telling you, it's like that guy is like that janitor. I was talking about this with the Orville. That guy is that janitor in the background, just cleaning up the mess. You don't notice him. But he's the one doing all these little things.
He has a fabulous backstory in the book too.
Okay, so maybe he'll be the big bad in like season. I'll give him season 3. Next season is all about my boo Babcock.
Okay, right.
Hit the subscribe. Let's find out. I guess we'll find a little bit more Monday when the next episode airs. I can't wait to see it. Yeah. Who's going to be correct? The one who knows a lot about a little and little about a lot, or the one who actually read the book? Probably gonna be Nikki. She's the one that I see. I told you. That's the story of my life.
Let me say it now. I told you so.
I told you.
I told you so.
Yeah. So
read a book.
If there's anything that you're gonna learn about this, it's gonna be what? Turn, don't burn, and science, and call them freaking vampires, man. That's let's just stop it. Oh, and Dr. Major gots to go.
Dr. Major gots to go.
Gots to go.
Dr. Major gots to go.
Let us know what you guys think, and comment below, and just tell us, does Dr. Major gots to go? Is Babcock the best character of all time? Like I'm on board with. Is Fanning long for this world, or is he going to stay the big bad for forever and ever? I don't think so. Will Anthony redeem himself? I guess all these questions is what we have to explore.
I think Anthony will redeem himself.
In some way, form, or fashion, right? But he is what he is.
I'm not even going to tell you.
I'll ask you after. We'll find out.
Yes, we'll find out together.
Until next time, guys. Whoa, hey, before I forget, I'm not even wearing the same clothes. Doesn't even matter. Movie magic. Thanks for watching the video all the way to the end. Like if you like, share if you care, comment for a compliment, subscribe to the tribe, and if you want to know more about how you can send me a message and be a part of We Got Your Mail, that's coming up right here. Check this out.